This is a color wheel, and a color wheel is a chart that shows how to mix colors to get other colors. Red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors. And on the primary and secondary color wheel, which is this one, it shows which two colors of the primary colors you need to mix to get the secondary colors, which are violet, orange, and green. For example, if you mix red and yellow together, you get orange. That's why orange is in between. If you mix yellow and blue together, you get the secondary color green. That's why green's in between. And if you mix red and blue together, you get purple or violet, and that's why violet's in between. That's how color wheels work. And today we're going to make our own color wheel, but we're going to make it a little bit more fun because we're going to turn our color wheel into a hot air balloon picture. You'll start with a circle that's divided into 6 slices. And the circle's already made for you, but what you need to do now is take your black crayon and trace over all of the lines. Trace over the line of the circle and trace over the lines of each slice. And that way, when you're painting your colors in there, it'll help keep the colors where they belong. So that's what you do first. Then put an initial like R for red, O for orange, Y for yellow, G for green, B for blue, and V for violet to show you where you're going to put all these colors. All right, now for this color wheel, we're going to make it a little bit more fun by making a different pattern in each slice. And I'm starting with red. I don't have to mix red at all because it's primary. And I'm going to hold my brush like a pencil, and I'm going to make just a little polka dot pattern. Now you can make a pattern in your red slice too, but you can try a different pattern if you'd rather do that. You can even try out the pattern on a scrap piece of paper if you'd rather do that. But one of the reasons we're doing it this way is it helps develop control of your paintbrush too while you're at it. Now I'll use the next primary color, which is yellow. I'm going to put no more than a quarter, the size of a quarter, on my palette. Make sure my brush is cleaned off from the red and dry it because the tempera paint doesn't need extra water added to it. And put some paint on the tip of my brush, hold my brush like a pencil, and now I'm going to make a different kind of a pattern. And the pattern I'm going to make is a star pattern. Okay, now I'm going to take some yellow and put it in another spot. And I'm going to take just a teensy bit of red right off the edge of the red pile. And I'm going to mix it in with my yellow. And what you want is you want more yellow and less red because red is a stronger color. And I mix it together and I have an orange now. And that's a secondary color, and it goes between red and yellow because that shows that that's how you make orange. And here's my orange pattern. Next I add the third primary color, which is blue. No more than the size of a quarter. And I made sure that I've washed off my brush and dried it. And I'm going to take my blue first without mixing it with anything. And I'm going to make my pattern in my blue slice. And this time I think I'm going to make kind of a plaid by making lines go in one direction first and then crossing them over and go in the other direction. Like that. And I can even paint in alternate ones of these squares that I make if I want to. Make a checkerboard that way. Okay, now after washing out my brush, I get some more yellow and put it by itself. And take a itsy bitsy teeny weeny little bit of blue. And I'm going to mix a lot of yellow and a little bit of blue because blue's stronger, and that's going to give me a green. If I mix more blue, I get a darker green. Less blue, I get more of a yellow green. And now I'm going to make my green pattern in my green section. Hold my brush like a pencil And this time I'm going to try making some zigzag lines. All these patterns help make it so that you can control your brush better and better. It's really good practice. Okay, now I'm going to take some red and put it by itself. You notice I always start with the lightest color of the two that I'm mixing. A little bit of blue, tiny, tiny bit, and I mix it in with the red. And that combination makes violet. And I'm adding a little bit more blue because I don't quite have the violet that I want. Okay, that's more like it. I could even add a little bit of white with that and it would make it show up better. Violet's a hard color to see when you mix it with just the red and the blue. But always start out with a lighter color and then add little bits of darker color to it to get the color that you want. Okay, now I'm going to paint my final slice and I'm going to make another pattern. Here I'm just going to cross some lines over like that. So now we have a hot air balloon with some interesting patterns, and it's not just solid colors. And once that dries, we're going to be able to cut that out and glue it onto another piece of paper to finish the picture. And when you glue it, remember you're going to glue around the edge, but you're only going to make dots, and you're going to make them 1.5 inches apart or so. Now imagine your basket hanging down below the balloon and trace your finger down a ways to where you would imagine the basket to be. And then make 2 dots, one straight across from each other, that show about how wide you want the basket to be. Then draw a line that curves and connects the 2 dots, and another line that curves and connects the 2 dots, and you'll have a foreshortened oval. And then 2 slanted lines, and then a line that curves more than the curved line for the top of the basket. Now draw some straight lines to attach the basket to the balloon. You'll need probably 4 of them. And just make sure to draw the lines coming from different sides of the basket so it doesn't tip over. Once you've got that finished, then you can decorate the basket any way you want to. Now you can make some other hot air balloons in your picture too. And I'm making mine smaller because I want it to be farther away. And one of the ways that you make something look farther away in a picture is to make it smaller. So I start with my circle, my 2 dots, and then my curved line that goes over the top and then underneath, my 2 slanted straight lines, my other curved line, finishing up the basket, and then my 4 straight lines to hold the basket to the balloon. Then decorate that balloon any way you want to. You can do more hot air balloons too. You can make it like it's a hot air balloon party if you want to, or festival. And you can put people or animals in the basket. Now the baskets are going to be way up high, and so when you draw your landscape, you're going to make it look like it's far below the baskets. So I made some curved lines for hills, and you can draw things down there like tiny little trees or little houses or anything that you could imagine that would be down there in that area where the balloons are flying. So you don't really have to copy what I'm doing right here. You can make up your own. But just remember that the farther away it is, the smaller it's going to look. And the farther away it is, the higher up from the bottom of the page it's going to be. And you can make a city or a farm or just houses in the country or a little bit of everything, since you'll be seeing from a great distance. I'm going to finish up this picture with watercolor and crayon resist. So I'm coloring the clouds white, but you won't really see them show up until I paint the blue of the sky, and I'll paint right over it, and the water will run right off the white, and so you'll see the clouds, and it'll make a neat effect. Now if you don't want to use watercolor for this picture, that's fine. The main part is the balloon and the color wheel, and getting some practice controlling your brush by doing the patterns on the color wheel. If you decide to use watercolor, just remember that in between colors you want to rinse your brush off and dry it off a little bit so that you don't get the colors mixed where you don't want them to be mixed. And when you're using a paintbrush, just go in one direction like you're petting a cat. Don't scrub back and forth, because that'll make the bristles break and come off after a while. It'll probably actually take less time to go ahead and use the watercolors and paint the background than it would if you decided to color the entire thing. So it's really up to you what you want to do. Just have fun with it.